Why is payroll crashing again? Our CFO barked into Slack like blaming the internet would fix it. I'm a senior developer, and honestly, I'm tired in a way coffee stopped helping a long time ago, but I'm still the one keeping payroll. AP is. And half this company from quietly collapsing in the background. And nobody really notices until something breaks loud enough to trend in Slack. So this is kind of how it always starts. Payroll crashes again. Not once. Not like a rare glitch thing. No, it's become this weekly ritual. Like clockwork. Except the clock is on fire and nobody knows who's holding it. The CFO is in Slack full caps. No patience, no context, just barking. Why is payroll down again? And then tagging the wrong team. Again. Third time this month, and you just sit there thinking, yeah, of course it's the wrong team. It's always the wrong team in their world. And me, I'm already in it before I even finish reading the message. I've got someone else's broken API call open, like I always do. That's the thing nobody really sees. Everything here is connected in a way that looks simple on the surface, but it's not. It's layers on layers of half-fixed problems stacked on top of each other until one tiny thing shakes and the whole system kind of groans. I sip my coffee cold. Of course, I don't even remember making it hot anymore, and I type back. Pretty calm, actually. Same unpatched logic error from last sprint. Pushing fix to QA again. No drama, no long explanation, because there's no point. There never is. And then silence. That's the funny part. The CFO stops talking. Nobody replies. Not even a reaction emoji. Just that awkward Slack silence where everyone's pretending the problem isn't happening in real time. And I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, okay, I'll handle it again. I've been at Nova 6 long enough that people call me senior, like it means something ceremonial, like I got a badge or a title upgrade that comes with respect. But really, it just means I've survived more broken systems than most people here have had onboarding sessions. I've seen execs come and go, different visions, different buzzwords, same outcome. They all open with confidence and end with us quietly cleaning up whatever they misunderstood. Nova 6 used to be different. At least that's what I tell myself sometimes. Back when it was small enough that problems had names instead of Jira tickets. Back when fixing things meant actually understanding them. Not just patching around the edges so the dashboard stays green. I built most of the data infrastructure back then, like actual foundation stuff. The kind nobody thinks about until it's gone. Now it's just slide decks and meetings about synergy. And me, still here, still fixing things no one really sees. There's this dull ache behind my left eye most days. It shows up whenever I remember that my job title technically includes senior. Like that's supposed to mean authority instead of responsibility without recognition. It's weird how fast that wears you down. Not the workload itself, but the invisibility of it. Because the thing is, when everything works, nobody thinks about you. And when it breaks, well, they still don't think about you. They just want it fixed faster. And I do fix it. That's the worst part. Maybe. I always fix it. Junior devs ping me when things get weird. Not even formally sometimes. Just random, hey. Are you around messages that actually mean everything is on fire and we're scared to touch it? I fix their queries. I rewrite scripts that were never supposed to reach production. I babysit deployments at night like it's just part of breathing. And I don't complain out loud, not really. I just kind of keep going. Because if I don't, everything actually does fall apart. That's not an exaggeration, it's just math at this point. And the thing nobody says out loud in places like this is that stability looks boring, invisible even. People don't clap for systems that don't break. They only notice when something explodes. So if you're good at preventing explosions, you kind of disappear. That's where I've been living for a while now. Slack keeps lighting up. CFO still frustrated, still blaming teams that had nothing to do with it. Product, infra, back end it rotates depending on mood. Like a blame wheel nobody agreed to spin, but everyone accepts anyway. And I just sit in it, open logs, trace it back. Find the same root cause, it always comes back to something rushed, something unreviewed, something someone said, we'll fix later, about 3 sprints ago. And I fix it, every time. No one really asks how, which is fine. Honestly, it's better that way, because explaining it would take longer than just doing it. And nobody here actually wants the full picture anyway. They want resolution, not truth. Sometimes I think about how many systems I've quietly held together without ever being in the room where decisions got made. Like I exist one layer below visibility, close enough to catch everything, far enough away to never be credited for it. And still, I show up, still log in, still answer messages, still patch things before they become headlines inside the company. Not because I'm forced to, not really. It's just, if I don't, I already know what happens next. And I've seen that version before too many times. So yeah, payroll crashes again. CFO is angry at the wrong people again. Slack is a mess again. And I'm just here, coffee getting colder. Fingers already halfway through another fix, pretending this is normal. Even though, honestly, it's never really been normal at all. So Kendra shows up like a system update nobody asked for but gets pushed anyway. One day everything is just messy but familiar. And then suddenly there's this new VP of product walking in like she's been hired to reinvent gravity. She doesn't really introduce herself like a normal person either. It's more like a keynote speech that wandered into the wrong room. Big smile, perfect posture, this kind of polished confidence that feels rehearsed. And immediately you can tell she doesn't care how anything actually works, just how it sounds when she explains it. She talks like everything is already decided, like engineering is just implementation details she doesn't need to care about. And honestly, that's the first moment I feel that familiar sinking feeling, like this is going to get worse before it gets better. First thing she says in our kickoff meeting is something like, I don't need to understand the tech, I manage the humans who do. And she says it so casually, like it's wisdom instead of a warning sign. A few people laugh awkwardly, the kind of laugh you do when you're not sure if you're supposed to. I remember looking around thinking surely someone is going to push back on that, but nobody does. She's got that new executive energy where confidence fills in for knowledge. And honestly, she moves fast. Too fast, like she's already decided what we are before she's learned what we do. And the strange part is, people start adjusting around her immediately, like reality itself is supposed to bend to confidence if it's loud enough. I've seen a lot of leaders come and go, but this one, she doesn't hesitate at all, which would be impressive if it wasn't so disconnected. Within the first week, she introduces daily stand-ups we didn't need. Like, at all. We already had async updates, everything tracked, everything moving. But she says she wants visibility. That word becomes a kind of weapon. Visibility, alignment, synergy, all of it. Suddenly we're in meetings every morning explaining what we did the day before to people who don't understand what they're hearing anyway. And she shows up late every time with an iced matcha. And this expression like she's arrived at a wellness retreat instead of a software company on fire. After a while, it stops feeling like communication and starts feeling like theater. Everyone performing status updates instead of actually solving anything, and she watches it like it's progress, not repetition. She loves dashboards, that's her thing. Big, colorful charts, executive summaries, anything that looks like progress at a glance. But logs. She never reads logs. I once tried explaining a production issue with actual traces and error context, and she just nodded and said something like, can we make that more visual? Like the system was a mood board instead of infrastructure. That was the first time I realized she wasn't trying to understand the product. She was trying to present it. It's like she's looking at reflections of work instead of the work itself. And she seems completely fine building strategy off reflections instead of reality. That's when you start realizing how dangerous that gap really is. She also had this favorite phrase, emotional bandwidth. She used it like it explained everything, why things were delayed, why decisions were rushed, why engineers were suddenly supposed to simplify complex systems for stakeholder understanding instead of actually fixing root problems. Emotional bandwidth. It showed up in meetings like a punchline nobody laughed at, but everyone had to accept. And every time she said it, I could feel the room get a little quieter, like we were all learning how not to respond. It's like every explanation she gives removes another layer of actual understanding from the system. And somehow, the more she simplifies things verbally, the more complicated everything becomes in practice. Then came the changes, not technical changes, more like philosophical ones. She wanted us to move faster, break fewer things, but also innovate constantly, which is a contradiction nobody bothered explaining to her. She restructured teams twice in a month, changed meeting names, renamed processes, replaced words like bug with opportunity for refinement. I wish I was joking, and every time someone tried to ground her in reality, she'd smile and say, "We need to think bigger." And nobody calls it out directly because calling it out starts feeling like career suicide. So it just sits there, unchallenged, like a shared misunderstanding everyone quietly agrees to maintain. That mindset got dangerous fast. We had a pipeline issue flagged early by one of the junior devs, something small but real. Travis, one of her favorites, brushed it off in a commit without review. I raised it in a cross-functional meeting, carefully, like I always do, and she just smiled at me. Then turned to the room and said we shouldn't gatekeep innovation just because some people are comfortable. Some people. That phrase landed weird because I was one of those people. The ones who actually built the system she was now calling comfortable. And every time I hear it, I can feel that quiet frustration building, like pressure with nowhere to go. Because correcting her doesn't feel possible anymore. It just feels like you're talking into a wall that smiles back. After that, something shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, just slowly. Engineers stopped speaking up as much. Meetings got shorter, not because things were more efficient, but because nobody wanted to be the one slowing down momentum. You could feel it in code reviews too. Less questioning, more approval. Like everyone was learning that disagreement had a cost, and the cost was usually visibility, or worse, relevance. And the scariest part is how quickly that becomes normal. Like people stop even remembering what it felt like to question things out loud. And I just kept doing what I always do, fixing things quietly, sometimes sarcastically in my head, but never out loud, because out loud is dangerous in places like this. I'd sit through these meetings listening to buzzwords stack on top of each other until they stopped meaning anything. Vision, alignment, velocity, impact. It all starts sounding like noise after a while. And the more noise there is, the less people notice the actual work happening underneath. Sometimes I wonder if anyone outside engineering even realizes how much of the system is just held together by habit and late nights. And not design, not vision, just people quietly fixing what others assume is already fine. It wasn't that things were breaking more. It was that the people making decisions stopped noticing when things were already broken. That's the dangerous part. Not chaos, ignored chaos. Systems don't fail all at once. They fail slowly, while everyone is busy optimizing the wrong layer. And she was very good at optimizing the wrong layer. Confidently, publicly, like it was strategy instead of guesswork. And she keeps calling it momentum, which is honestly the most generous interpretation possible. From where I'm sitting, it looks more like ignoring friction until something finally snaps. And I think that's when I started realizing this wasn't just another leadership change. It was something more subtle than that, more like erosion, the kind you don't notice until you look back and wonder how everything got so fragile. And I'm still here, still fixing what I can, still watching it all shift under decisions that sound good in meetings but fall apart in reality. And the worst part is, she genuinely believes it's working, because I don't think she even sees the erosion happening. Which might be the most unsettling part of all, because belief doesn't stop systems from breaking. It just delays the moment people admit they already have. So this is the part nobody really talks about, where you're not the hero of anything. You're just the person quietly holding the whole thing together while everyone else thinks it's holding itself together. It starts small. A junior dev pushes something that looks harmless, a tiny change, a refactor, a quick fix they swear won't affect anything. And maybe in a better system, it wouldn't. But here, everything is connected in ways nobody fully understands anymore. So it breaks. Not loudly at first, just a slight delay in a pipeline, a weird spike in latency, something that only shows up if you know exactly where to look. And I always know where to look, so I fix it. Quietly. No announcement, no meeting, no credit, just open the logs, trace it back, undo the damage, and move on. And then the system is stable again, and everyone keeps working like nothing happened, which is fine until you realize that's the pattern. It's not that things don't break, it's that they break. And I fix them before anyone else even realizes there was a problem. So from the outside, it looks like things are just fine, stable, reliable. Like the system is naturally well built instead of constantly being held together by late nights and muscle memory. And the funny part is, people start attributing that stability to everything except the person maintaining it. I've sat in meetings where someone from product is presenting uptime metrics like they're the result of strategy. Dashboards glowing green, charts going up and to the right, everyone nodding like it's all intentional. And I'm sitting there knowing that 2 hours before that meeting, I rolled back a deployment that would have taken half the system offline. No one knows that. No one even suspects it. Because invisibility isn't something that happens all at once. It's something you earn slowly by being too good at preventing disasters. At some point, junior devs just start coming directly to me, not officially, just messages like, "Hey, can you take a look at this real quick?" And I do, always, because I know what happens if I don't. It's not even about being nice anymore. It's just pattern recognition. I fix their queries. I rewrite their logic when they've unknowingly introduced race conditions. I clean up their deployments before they go live and quietly prevent incidents they'll never know they almost caused. And afterwards, someone else explains the system in a meeting like it's simple, like it's elegant, like it just works. No one says my name. That's the part that starts to wear on you after a while. Not the workload, not even the responsibility. It's the disconnect between what you actually do and what people think is happening. You start to feel like you're maintaining a ghost version of the company that nobody else can see. There was this one time a junior pushed a change that would have duplicated billing records under certain conditions. Pretty bad one, actually. They were proud of it too, which is the wild part. They thought they optimized something. I caught it in review, rewrote the logic, tested it twice, pushed a fix, and left a comment that was intentionally soft so they wouldn't feel bad about it. Something like, adjusted for edge case handling. That's it. No drama. Next day in the stand-up, that same feature got praised as a successful optimization effort. And I just sat there, silent. That silence becomes a habit, by the way. You stop correcting people because correcting people doesn't change outcomes. It just changes how they see you. And eventually you learn that being right doesn't matter as much as being invisible does. But it builds up, not in a dramatic way, not like anger you can point to, more like fatigue layered with this low-level frustration that never fully goes away. Like background noise you can't turn off anymore. I remember sitting in a quarterly review where Kendra was presenting uptime numbers again. Green graphs, big smiles, phrases like operational excellence and scalable resilience. And I'm watching the slide thinking, none of that would be true if I stopped answering messages for a week. Not even exaggerating, a week. That's it. But instead, I'm just another face in the room. Someone asks a question about how we maintain stability at scale, and Kendra answers it. Smoothly, confidently, not technically wrong, just completely detached from what actually happens. And everyone nods like that's the answer they were looking for. Meanwhile, I'm remembering the 2 a.m. rollback from last Tuesday, or the time I had to quietly rebuild a broken migration script because someone copied a Stack Overflow answer into production code, or the dozen small fires I put out that never even made it to incident reports. It's weird how much of my job is basically preventing reality from catching up to perception, and nobody ever asks about that gap. Sometimes I'll be in these meetings and I'll say something small, just a technical clarification, nothing aggressive, nothing even opinionated, and it gets nodded at, then immediately overwritten by a higher level narrative, like the system itself filters out detail in real time if it's not aligned with the story being told. So I stop talking. Not because I don't have anything to say, but because I've learned what happens when I do. And the thing is, I still care. That's the annoying part. If I didn't care, it would be easier, but I do. So I stay late, I fix things, I make sure releases don't implode, I review code that nobody else wants to look at closely enough to notice problems. And every time I prevent something bad from happening, it just becomes normal. No acknowledgement, no pause, just the system continuing as if it was always going to work that way. There's a kind of loneliness in that I didn't expect when I started out. Not isolation, exactly. More like being surrounded by people who rely on you without realizing they are. And the worst part is, it works. The system works because I'm there and because it works. Nobody feels the need to ask why it works or how fragile it actually is. So I keep going, fixing, rewriting, cleaning up, quietly maintaining something that only stays alive because someone is paying attention to every small thing everyone else assumes is already handled. And yeah, somewhere along the way, I stopped being part of the story they tell about the company. I became the reason the story doesn't fall apart halfway through. It was supposed to be a simple thing. That's the part that still gets me, not the complexity, not the chaos, just how something that small turned into this. I'd booked the vacation months ago. 1 week, that's it. Nothing dramatic, no big announcement, just a quiet PTO request sitting in the system like every other normal human request in a normal company. I even picked the dates carefully, no launches, no deadlines, nothing flagged as critical. I checked twice, maybe 3 times, honestly. So when I brought it up in the meeting, I wasn't expecting applause or anything, just acknowledgement, a nod, sure, looks good, that kind of thing. The meeting itself was already running late, which was normal. Kendra liked to start things like she was arriving on stage, not into a workflow, cameras on, agendas loosely defined, everyone kind of waiting for her to decide what reality we were in that day. I remember sitting there thinking, okay, just say it cleanly. Don't over-explain. Don't open it up for interpretation. So I did. I waited for the pause in conversation, that tiny gap between topics. And I said it, calm, neutral, almost rehearsed. Hey, quick thing, I'd like to officially log PTO for next week. That was it. Not a big ask, not a complicated request, just a sentence. And for a second, nothing happened. No reaction. Just that soft digital silence in a video call where everyone's pretending they didn't hear something inconvenient. Then Kendra leaned back, and I remember thinking, okay, here we go. She didn't even look at the calendar at first. She just made this small noise, not quite a laugh, more like a dismissive exhale, like the idea itself was slightly annoying to her. Then she finally spoke. We're this close to launch, she said, turning slightly toward Travis like I wasn't even the person talking. And you want a vacation? The way she said vacation, it wasn't neutral. It had weight to it, like it was something indulgent, suspicious. Even, the room shifted instantly. You could feel it, that subtle collective tightening where everyone suddenly becomes aware of how loud silence actually is. No one jumped in, no one corrected her framing, no one said, actually, this was planned months ago, nothing, just stillness. I remember the UX lead looking down at his keyboard like it had suddenly become very interesting. Someone else coughed into their sleeve. Travis just froze mid-notification glance, like his brain was buffering. And me, I just stayed still. Because there's a specific kind of moment in places like this where you realize the reaction you want to have and the reaction you're allowed to have are two completely different things. Kendra kept going. She tilted her head slightly, like she was trying to understand something very simple that had been explained by a child. Of course, she said, slower now, like she was being generous. Of course some people need rest, no worries. And then she smiled. Not warmly, not even professionally, just performatively. The kind of smile that isn't aimed at you, but at everyone else watching. That's when the silence got heavier. Because now it wasn't just a denial, it was framing, public framing. She wasn't saying no. She was making it feel unreasonable that I even asked. Then came the part that landed hardest. The eye roll. Full, slow, exaggerated, like a stage direction. Eyes up, head tilt, small exhale through the nose. If it had been any more theatrical, someone would have clapped. And just like that, the conversation moved on. She clapped her hands together lightly and said, no big deal. Travis will handle deployment. It's not that deep. Not that deep. That phrase, it didn't even register as logic. It just hung there, wrong in a way that didn't need explanation. I felt something shift behind my ribs, but I didn't react outwardly. Not because I wasn't affected, because I was. But reacting would have made it about emotion instead of structure. And I've learned the difference matters more than people think. So I nodded, just once. Small, controlled. Got it, I said. And I could hear how flat my own voice sounded, like it belonged to someone else who had already decided something important without telling anyone. Kendra immediately moved on, like the interaction had already been filed away under irrelevant. Travis, though, I saw it in his face, that flicker of panic, the realization that he was suddenly responsible for something he had never actually done end-to-end before. He didn't say anything in the meeting. Of course he didn't. Nobody does in moments like that. After the call ended, Everything felt slightly off, not visibly, not in a way anyone would point to. Just that quiet atmospheric shift when something has been said in public that can't be unsaid. A few people dropped out of the call quickly, others lingered, pretending to review notes. I stayed a few seconds longer than necessary. Just long enough to make sure I didn't look like I was rushing out. Then I closed the laptop, and that's when the real part started. Not immediately, not dramatically, just that slow internal transition from reacting to deciding. Because here's the thing about moments like that. You don't explode. You don't argue. You don't even necessarily change anything outwardly right away. You just recalibrate. I remember sitting there after the meeting, staring at my terminal, not typing anything at first, just thinking through systems, quietly, structurally. Deployment flows, DNS routing, environment separation, the things nobody thinks about until they absolutely have to. Because when someone says it's not that deep, what they're really saying is they don't understand what depth even looks like. And that's where the problem starts. I opened the deployment config first, not to change anything yet, just to look. Everything was still in place, clean, predictable, the kind of structure that only exists when someone has been obsessively careful for a long time and no one has interfered with it yet. Travis would touch it soon. I knew that. He had that meeting now sitting in his head like a ticking timer. And I wasn't angry at him. That's important. He wasn't the problem. He was just the point of contact. I leaned back in my chair for a second and exhaled slowly. Because there's a moment in every system where responsibility gets reassigned without permission. And once that happens, you can either step in and prevent chaos again, or you can observe what happens when the structure you built is used without understanding. I didn't make a decision in that moment, not a dramatic one. It was quieter than that, more like acceptance of what already made sense. I started reviewing the DNS mapping next, not changing anything, just tracing paths, understanding dependencies, following the invisible threads that connect "this is fine" to "this just went live." And somewhere in that process, something settled, not anger, not revenge, something colder than both, clarity. Because the system wasn't fragile by accident. It was fragile by ignorance. And ignorance, I realized, doesn't fix itself just because people are confident. I closed the terminal for a moment and just sat there. Quiet, controlled, still. The kind of still where everything inside you is moving, but nothing outside shows it. Eventually, I reopened it. Not to break anything, just to prepare, to make sure that when the next hand touched the system without understanding it, I would at least know exactly where the pressure would go. Because now I wasn't just maintaining stability anymore. I was watching what happened when it was assumed to be automatic. The morning of the demo felt too clean. That's usually the first warning sign, when things feel quiet in a system that's never quiet. I wasn't in the room, but I know exactly how it started, because I've lived through enough launches to hear it even when I'm not there. 10 minutes before go live, someone notices the login button looks slightly off. Not broken, just off. Wrong font weight, wrong spacing, that kind of thing you ignore if you're already committed. Someone laughs nervously and says it's probably just a cache issue. No one stops. No one investigates. Because stopping feels more dangerous than continuing. And that's how it always starts. Kendra is in the room. Of course she is. Standing too confidently in front of a screen that hasn't failed her yet. Clicker in hand, blazer perfect, smile already loaded like a default state. She's talking to the investors like she's narrating reality instead of testing it. Words like seamless, scalable, intuitive, the usual set. Travis is next to her. Too still, too quiet. I can picture his face even without seeing it. That tight, focused panic of someone realizing they were given more responsibility than understanding. But he's nodding, because that's what people do in that room. 10,000 hits. Someone says we're live, and the screen share begins. First second, white load screen. Normal. Second, a flicker. Just a hesitation in the UI like it forgot what it was supposed to be. Kendra doesn't notice. She's already talking. Third second, the background loads. But it's wrong. Not slightly wrong. Visibly wrong. A deep, saturated purple that doesn't belong to any brand palette anyone in that room has ever approved. A few people shift in their seats. Someone mutters something about staging artifacts. No one stops. Fourth second, the header renders. Big. Comic Sans. Centered. Blinking. Insert product brilliance here. And for half a second, no one reacts. Because the brain doesn't accept what it's seeing. Then the room catches up. A nervous laugh from somewhere near the back. Not humor. Disbelief pretending to be humor. Kendra pauses, just for a beat. Then she smiles wider. This is probably a temporary styling sync issue, she says. Too fast. Too confident. like saying it fixes it. It doesn't. Fifth second, the login module appears, but the fields are misaligned. Username in all caps. Password label floating half off the container like it's not anchored to anything real. Someone in engineering leans forward, frowns, doesn't speak. Because speaking first means owning the problem. 6th second, the investor feed starts reacting. Tiny chat bubbles on the side of the stream. What is this UI? Is this intentional? Is this a beta joke? 7th second, the button loads. And it says something no one expects. YOLO. Silence. Complete silence. The kind that isn't absence of sound, but absence of permission to speak. Travis shifts. I can imagine it. That small, involuntary movement where realization starts catching up faster than control. He opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Nothing comes out. Kendra still hasn't fully processed it. She's scanning the screen like it's a presentation glitch instead of a system failure. 8th second, the hamster appears. Nobody knows where from. That cursed, looping, pixelated hamster gif I once dropped into staging months ago as a joke no one was supposed to see. It is now center stage. Dancing, looping, completely unbothered. Purple background, Comic Sans header, YOLO button, and the hamster just dancing. 9th second, someone laughs, immediately regrets it, stops. Investors stop typing. A chair creaks too loudly. 10th second, Kendra finally speaks. This is not the production environment, she says, but her voice is thinner now. Less control in it, more question than statement. 11th second, the CTO is now in motion. I can picture him already pulling logs. Too late. Always too late when you're reacting instead of verifying. 12th second, Travis whispers something, barely audible. This was staging, I thought, he stops, because finishing that sentence makes it real. 13th second, someone in legal unmutes. Is this secure? No one answers. 14th second, the hamster keeps dancing. Perfect loop. No errors. No hesitation, unlike everything else in the room. 15th second, Kendra tries to regain control. Let's just refresh the environment, she says, too quickly. Like speed can override reality. It doesn't. 16th second, the CTO finally speaks. Flat. This is not staging. 17th second. That lands heavier than anything else. Because now it's not about visuals. It's about routing, about configuration, about truth underneath presentation. And I can almost hear it from where I am. The moment everyone realizes the system is not where they thought it was. 18th second. Travis goes pale. Not metaphorically, visibly. Like someone just unplugged him from confidence. He turns slightly toward Kendra, waiting for instruction, for rescue, for anything. 19th second. She doesn't give it because she doesn't have it. 20th second. The investors start talking over each other. Fast now, confused, concerned. One of them laughs again, but it's not humor anymore. It's exit planning disguised as curiosity. 21st second. The CEO finally leans forward. What environment is this actually running on? Nobody answers fast enough. That delay says everything. 22nd second. The CTO opens logs, stops, opens again. You can feel the realization hit him even through distance. DNS mismatch. Routing override. Staging endpoint exposed. 23rd second. Kendra is still trying to speak, still trying to narrate over the collapse. But no one is listening anymore, because the screen is doing all the talking. Purple. Comic Sans. YOLO. Hamster. Looping. Perfect. Unfixable in real time. 24th second. Someone finally unmutes just to say, we're live in the wrong system. And that's it. That's the moment it fully breaks. Not technically, socially, structurally. The kind of break you don't roll back with a deploy. 25th second. Kendra turns slightly, looking for me, even though I'm not there. Because this is the part where she would normally expect me to fix it. Quietly, cleanly, invisible. But I'm not in that room. And for the first time, that absence is louder than anything on the screen. 26th second. The hamster keeps dancing, and no one stops it. Because no one knows how. After the demo, everything didn't just break, it unraveled. Slowly at first, then all at once. You could feel it, even if you weren't inside the building anymore. The kind of tension that spreads through Slack before it ever reaches email. Messages piling up, threads multiplying. People trying to reconstruct reality from logs that suddenly feel too honest to ignore. Leadership went into what they called response mode, which really just meant panic with better lighting. There were meetings about meetings, emergency calls that started with silence and ended with more silence. The CTO buried in logs that now read like evidence instead of system output. Product trying to rewrite the narrative before the narrative had fully finished collapsing. And Kendra, well, she didn't disappear immediately, but she stopped sounding certain. That was the first real change. The confidence was gone, replaced by this careful procedural tone, like she was reading instructions for a system she no longer trusted. Then came the investigations. External audit, internal review, words that sound structured but feel like damage control. People started pulling threads. Every decision got a timestamp. Every deployment got re-examined. Every shortcut that used to be called agility suddenly had a different name depending on who was speaking. Blame didn't explode, it migrated. From engineering to product, from product to process, from process back to engineering again. And somewhere in the middle of it all, names started disappearing from Slack. Quiet resignations, sudden calendar deletions, statuses changing to no longer with the company. It was clean in the way corporate chaos always tries to be. Polished edges on a collapsing structure. Meanwhile, I wasn't there. Not in the room, not in the threads, not in the emergency calls. I was just away. And the strange part is nothing broke more because I was gone. It just became visible. That's the difference nobody likes admitting. When I came back, it wasn't announced. I just showed up one morning like I always used to. Same desk, same login, same quiet acknowledgement from people who now looked at systems differently. No one joked about deployment anymore. No one casually assumed things would just work. There was caution now, everywhere. Like the system had developed memory. The CEO asked for a meeting the same day. Closed room, no agenda listed. I already knew what it would be before I walked in. He tried to frame it carefully at first. Words like restructuring, learning opportunity, rebuilding trust. The kind of language people use when they're trying to make accountability sound like collaboration. Then he got to the point. They wanted me back in a more permanent leadership role. Something like VP of platform stability, direct access, authority, control over systems I had already been quietly maintaining for years without any of those titles attached. It was almost ironic. They were offering structure for something I had only ever done in silence. I listened, let him finish, didn't interrupt, didn't negotiate. Just let the words sit in the air long enough to reveal what they really were. Then I shook my head. Not dramatically, just enough. I'm good, I said. Simple, neutral. No resentment in it, no performance either. That surprised them more than anger would have, because anger still implies you're inside the system. Calm like that implies you've already stepped outside it. The CTO tried once more. Something about rebuilding properly this time, learning from mistakes, doing it right. But it all sounded like recursion, like a loop trying to correct itself without understanding the original error. I stood up before it turned into persuasion, not because I was rushing, because there was nothing left to decide. On the way out, I paused just long enough to look around the room. Same walls, same people, different energy now. Less certainty, more awareness. They had learned something, even if they couldn't fully articulate it yet. Systems don't fail all at once, and neither does trust. Outside, the office felt quieter than I remembered. Not empty, just careful. People still working, still shipping, still trying. But now there was hesitation in every decision that used to be automatic. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the one absorbing that hesitation. I didn't go back to fixing things immediately, didn't reopen logs, didn't scan deployments, didn't quietly stabilize what others were still afraid to touch. Instead, I just let it exist. All of it. The instability, the awareness, the slow rebuilding. Because this time it wasn't mine to carry. And that realization, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like release. Not everything needs to be held together. Some things need to be allowed to show what they really are. And for once, I didn't reach for the fix. And I guess that's the part people don't really see. How much of everything runs on the things nobody talks about. The fixes no one notices. The warnings no one listens to until it's too late. It's strange how quiet accountability can be. Right, anyway, if you made it this far, maybe stick around, like, subscribe, whatever feels natural. No pressure. Just more stories like this when you're ready for them.